Hello. In this week's Torah portion, Mishpatim, we are taught twice to be kind to strangers. Gerim. Quote, "You shall not wrong a stranger or oppress him, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. And you shall not oppress a stranger, for you know the soul of the stranger, having yourselves been strangers in the land of Egypt." Even earlier, we were told that strangers have the same rights as citizens. Quote, "There shall be one law for the citizen and for the stranger who dwells among you." This is repeated later in Leviticus. Quote, "You shall have one standard for stranger and citizen alike, for I am the Lord your God." We are even told that we must love the stranger. Quote, "When a stranger resides with you in your lands, you shall not wrong him. The stranger who resides with you shall be to you as one of your citizens. You shall love him as yourself, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God." In Deuteronomy, we are told four things. We must befriend the stranger. Quote, "You too must befriend the stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt." We must be fair to the stranger in court. Quote, "I charge your magistrates at that time as follows. Hear out your fellow men and decide justly between any man and a fellow Israelite or stranger." We must be fair to the stranger in employment matters. Quote, "You shall not abuse a needy and destitute laborer, whether a fellow countryman or a stranger in one of the communities of your land. You shall not subvert the rights of the stranger. Remember that you were a slave in Egypt." If we don't do all that, we will incur a curse. Quote, "Cursed be he who subverts the rights of the stranger, the orphan, and the widow." So, the stranger among you shall be subject to the same laws as you are. He has the same rights. Don't abuse him, or wrong him, or oppress him. Love him, or you will be cursed. You know very well how he feels. And that's in the Torah alone. The Talmud tells us that in the entire Tanakh, this injunction is repeated 36 times, and some say 46 times. Now, why is this so important? Presumably even more important than the other 52 commandments in our portion, which are not repeated so regularly. Treat slaves and servants well, make proper restitution for damages caused, be honest in all financial dealings, judge fairly, do not afflict orphans and widows, take care of your wife's needs in food, clothing, and sex, provide for the poor, decide issues by majority votes, do not eat milk and meat together, help your enemy in need, and many others. Let's explore this subject. First, who is a stranger? A stranger, or ger, the Hebrew word used in the above Torah quotes and translated as stranger, is one who was not born Jewish, but is either a convert to Judaism, that is a ger tzedek, a righteous stranger, or a permanent resident in a Jewish community who follows the 7 Noahide laws, ger toshav, resident stranger. The word ger is derived from gargir, an isolated berry at the far end of a solitary branch. The word has a positive connotation. The Torah also uses 2 other words for stranger, zar and nochri. Many Torah laws do not apply to them. A zar is someone who is strange, separate, unusual, and not necessarily a foreigner. It's also used in the sense of someone outside the family or the narrow group, or could mean an unauthorized and uninitiated person. Idolatry is called avodah zarah, strange worship. Nadav and Abihu brought strange fire, esh zarah, before God and died. Nevertheless, the word generally has a neutral connotation. A nochri is a Gentile, not Jewish and not necessarily a resident. The word may have a negative connotation. It can be used for enemy, stranger who speaks harshly, outsider, ben nechar, alien gods, Elohei hanechar, but also to refer to harmless refugees, laborers, visitors, or businessmen. Moses named his son Gershon, saying, quote, "I have been a stranger, ger, in a foreign land, Eretz Nachriya." The Torah says to treat the Nochri differently. Examples are, you may lend money to a Nochri and charge him interest, or borrow money from him and pay him interests. His debts don't have to be forgiven on the 7th year. You may sell him a carcass. You may not set him to rule over you. In Hebrew, the word goy means nation. The Jews are also described as a goy. God promises Abraham to make his descendants a great nation, goy gadol. Later, it came to also mean non-Jew and has acquired a negative connotation. So, what does the injunction mean and why is it so important? Let's consult the many commentators who have suggested answers. The Talmud says, don't mention the stranger's defects to him. Don't do anything that might encourage him to give up Jewish observance. And remember that the injunction applies throughout the world, not only in Israel. Quote, what is the meaning of you shall not wrong a stranger or oppress him, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt? We learn in the Baraita that Rabbi Natan says, if a defect is in you, do not mention it in another person. Since the Jews were themselves strangers, they should know better than to demean a stranger in their midst. And this explains the popular saying, if someone in your family was hanged by a legal decree, don't say to another with the same family flaw, hang a fish for me. It is in Baraita that Rabbi Eliezer the Great says, for what reason did the Torah issue warnings with regard to not distressing a convert? It's due to the fact that the convert's inclination is evil, and if we don't treat him well, he's prone to return to his previous way of living. What is the meaning of when a stranger resides with you in your land, you shall not wrong him? In your land means in Eretz Israel. Where do we derive that the law is also valid outside of Eretz Israel? From the fact that the verse states with you, meaning that in any place that he is with you, you shall not wrong. All these are in the Talmud. Targum Jonathan, a 1st century translation into Aramaic, says not to insult him or steal from him. Quote, and the stranger you shall not vex with words, nor distress him by taking his goods. The Midrash adds not to remind him of his non-Jewish past. You shall not wrong a stranger means you shall not afflict him with words, nor oppress him means you shall not oppress him in money matters. Do not say to him, yesterday you worshipped the deity of Nevo, and the flesh of swine is still between your teeth, and you would dare contend with me? And from where is it derived that if you taunt him, he can taunt you back? For you were strangers in the land of Egypt. Ibn Ezra from 12th century Spain extends the injunction to the elderly and the vulnerable. Quote, the injunction when a stranger resides with you in your land, you shall not wrong him, is mentioned right after the mitzvah of showing deference to the old. Just as you must honor an elderly Israelite even though he has no power, so must you deal kindly with the ger, who also has less power than you. Heskuni from 13th century France warns not to take advantage of him in the workplace or the courts. Quote, do not wrong him means do not abuse him by using him to perform menial labor. He is unfamiliar with the ways of the Israelites, and it would be too easy to take advantage of his ignorance by assigning to him degrading work. Do not oppress the stranger, in Exodus 23:9, refers to treating strangers fairly in courts, where they can easily be taken advantage of and have no one to stand up in their behalf. This is the context of the verse. The Ramban from 13th century Catalonia notes that the injunction can be interpreted as a threat and exhorts us to feel his pain. Quote, this is almost a threat. You shall not wrong a stranger or oppress him, for you are strangers in the land of Egypt. Means, you might think that the stranger is in your power and you can do whatever you want with him. But remember, when you were oppressed strangers, I came and rescued you and exacted vengeance on your oppressors. I will do the same with you if you wrong the stranger. And you know the soul of a stranger since you were strangers in the land of Egypt. What does it mean? It means you know the stranger has a low self-esteem. He sighs and cries, and his eyes are always to God. God has mercy on him, not because of his merits, but because he suffers. Ora Hayim from 18th century Morocco writes that we must not tell the stranger that his intrinsic worth is inferior to ours. It's a reminder that just because God chose you, rescued you, and gave you the Torah, does not mean you're superior to the stranger. Rabbi Jonathan Sacks from 21st century England writes simply that we must completely identify with the stranger, quote, why should I not hate the stranger? Because the stranger is me, unquote. In conclusion, being fair, friendly, and caring to the stranger in our midst is of utmost importance in the Jewish tradition, given our experience in being strangers ourselves. Perhaps this is a reason why we are commanded to remember our slavery in Egypt and the Exodus every single day, to commemorate it in a big celebration once a year, and even act as if we were personally rescued from slavery in Egypt by the Almighty. Shabbat Shalom.